Hello and I welcome you all to Global News Factory. I'm your host Vikrant. Nordic nations are planning to go nuclear. This explosive video is about NATO's new provocation against Russia, and this is live now on GNF Defense. The link is in the comment box. And let's start today's episode. We first discuss about EU's own country-sized ammo factory just exploded. This is the story of the day. Then we go to Pakistan. Trump's new darling in South Asia, Army Chief Asim Munir of Pakistan, is now paying the price for White House lunch that he had back in June. After all, there are no free lunches in geopolitics. And in the end, we go to Japan, who is funding a massive anti-China campaign in the country and why. So, let's start. Let's talk about a small European country that became very important for Brussels and Ukraine. Not because of tourism, not because of tech, but because it quietly turned into something else. A country-sized ammo factory. Welcome to Bulgaria. This month, Bulgaria exploded, not with shells, with protests. Massive protests led by Gen Z, young people, first-time voters, people who were told to keep quiet and trust the system. They did not. They came out on the streets and they pushed out the government of Prime Minister Rosen Zelyaskov. His government did not even last a full year, and it collapsed right when Bulgaria was supposed to take a big European leap. On January 1st, Bulgaria is supposed to join the Eurozone. That means goodbye to the lev and hello to Euro. Brussels calls it integration. Bulgarian youth called it enough. The spark came on November 26th. That is the day when the ruling coalition announced a new budget. A Euro budget, basically. And it landed like a punch to the face. Taxes were going up and spending was being cut. Social security contributions were raised, taxes on dividends were increased, and all this was happening under a regressive tax system. In simple words, poor people pay more and rich people pay less. The very people who were told that the euro would bring prosperity were now being asked to pay the bill, to pay more. For many Bulgarians, this felt like betrayal. People believed that joining the Eurozone would clean up politics, that it would reduce corruption, that Brussels would bring discipline. Instead, they got higher taxes, lower spending, and the same old corruption, maybe worse. And yes, corruption in Bulgaria is a serious problem. It is not a secret, it is not gossip, it is officially acknowledged even by the EU itself. Bulgaria is one of the most corrupt countries in EU. Brussels knows it. Brussels has even opened several probes, several investigations. Let me give you a few examples. 2 years back, the EU found irregularities worth more than 140 million euros in EU funding for railway infrastructure in Bulgaria. That is public money, EU money. This year, headlines appeared about an indictment over fraud involving EU funds meant for employment support. Last year, things got even stranger. Charges were brought against Bulgarian officials over alleged fraud linked to a 3.4 million euro fishing port in Varna. EU investigators found the port was imaginary. Yes, imaginary. A port that existed only on paper and nowhere else. And then there was a €1 million green space project in Plovdiv. The EU accused Bulgarian officials of procurement fraud. And earlier this year, the list is long, yes, indictments were brought over suspected misuse of €6 million from EU construction funds. Again, EU funds, again Bulgaria, again corruption. So, Here is the question: if all this was known, all this was happening, why did Brussels still clear Bulgaria to join the Eurozone? Why look the other way? The answer is not about economics, it's about war. Because Bulgaria, under this government, was playing its role perfectly in the EU's Ukraine script. Like a good pupil who does not ask questions. This government turned Bulgaria into one giant ammunition assembly line. The goal was simple: boost European GDP by pumping public money, the taxpayers' money, into weapons, officially for Ukraine. And the winners were not Bulgarians, the winners were Europe's defense giants, especially Germany's Rheinmetall, the weapons maker, the stock market darling, a company whose share price now looks like rocket launch. In August, Rheinmetall announced something big. It is building a 1 billion euro ammunition factory in Bulgaria. 1 billion. Ammunition factories in Bulgaria are now crucial for Ukraine's rearmament. This is not new, by the way. Bulgaria's defense industry has been producing small arms, light weapons, and ammunition of all calibers. For years, Sofia kept these deliveries secret. They feared Russian sabotage or maybe Russian retaliation. So weapons and ammunition were quietly sent to Poland, and from there, they went onward. Now the secrecy is gone. Bulgaria is openly talking about it. The country is set to produce a sizable share of the 2 million artillery shells the EU has promised to Ukraine. And Bulgarian politicians are openly saying that in the future the EU will pay for these supplies. Public money goes in, shells come out, stocks go up, everyone is happy except the people who are paying the taxes, the ordinary people, people like you. And it does not stop there. Bulgaria has also been bragging about cutting off Russian gas within the next 3 years. On paper, this sounds brave. In reality, it means higher energy bills, just like the rest of Europe. And the average Bulgarian citizen was not exactly thrilled about this, about paying more heating and electricity bills, while being told this is the cost of European values. So what happened next was inevitable. People snapped. The youth snapped. They chased the political elite out. And suddenly, the government that was so obedient to Brussels found itself in the political wilderness. Now let's be clear, this does not mean Bulgarians have turned against the EU, not yet. The party that led the protests is a right-wing party, but it is also a pro-EU party. This was not a rebellion against EU, it was a rebellion against being used, against corruption. Bulgarian people have understood something very important. They have understood that the EU is happy to tolerate corruption as long as its strategic interests are served. That rules can bend, and that standards can be flexible, and that corruption is a problem only when it becomes inconvenient. Moving on. In geopolitics, there are no free lunches. Someone always pays the bill. Right now, Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir is staring at that bill with a cold sweat. Just a few weeks ago, Munir was flying high, very high in fact. In June, Trump broke protocol and invited him, Asim Munir, to the White House for lunch. Not a prime minister, not a foreign minister, a military chief. That single lunch sent a loud message across South Asia. Washington was backing Rawalpindi again, and more importantly, it was backing Munir. So in Pakistan, this was sold as a massive diplomatic victory over India. Trump then imposed sanctions on India. He also dangled shiny economic carrots for Pakistan: investment talk, security cooperation, and yes, IMF loans, the money lifeline, the kind Pakistan cannot live without. Back home, Munir's power graph went vertical. He was anointed chief of the defense forces, giving him control over the army, air force, and navy. He got a job extension till 2030. He secured the field marshal title for lifetime. And thanks to recent changes in the country's constitution, Munir now enjoys lifetime immunity from criminal prosecution. In simple words, Pakistan today runs on one rule: Asim Munir's rule. Everything was going exactly as planned by Asim Munir until this week. This week, Trump called again. No lunch invite this time, just instruction, just an order. Trump wants Pakistan to send troops to Gaza. Specifically, Trump wants Munir to contribute forces to a so-called Gaza Stabilization Force. Munir has been invited to Washington again for talks, serious talks. Trump's 20-point Gaza plan wants troops from Muslim nations to oversee a transition period in Gaza. The official language sounds soft: reconstruction, stability, economic recovery. But everyone knows what it really means. It means the elimination of Hamas. It means Israel gaining total and permanent control over Gaza. And it means Muslim troops doing the dirty work while Israel watches from behind the curtain. And that is why many Muslim countries are uncomfortable with this plan. Even in Pakistan, hardliners are furious. For them, sending Pakistani troops to Gaza is nothing less than helping Israel achieve its long-term goals. Now comes the real problem for Asim Munir. Does he even have that option to say no? Realistically speaking, no. Refusing Trump is dangerous. Pakistan's economy is on life support. Munir needs American goodwill to keep power at home. He needs American investments. He needs security aid. And above all, he needs IMF money to keep Pakistan from collapsing. Annoying Trump is never an option. Not when Trump has already handed Munir power, protection, and prestige. So Munir has started making careful, quiet moves, baby steps. He has held meetings with the military and civilian leaders from Indonesia, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Jordan, Egypt, and Qatar. The idea is simple: share the burden, dilute the blame. If many Muslim countries join, Pakistan won't look like the sole collaborator. But here is the catch. Pakistan is not a quiet country, it is a pressure cooker. Munir's Gaza plan risks triggering massive protests at home because Pakistan's Islamist parties are fiercely anti-US and violently anti-Israel. They have street power, real street power. Thousands can come out overnight. One particularly aggressive Islamist party known for enforcing ultra-strict blasphemy laws was banned only in October this year. Its supporters are angry, unemployed, and waiting for a spark. Gaza could be that spark. And then there is the political wildcard, Imran Khan. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan is jailed, but his supporters are not silent. They are waiting for an opening. A Gaza deployment gives them the perfect issue: religion, anti-America anger, anti-Israel rage. They will use it to attack Munir directly, to paint him as a traitor, to weaken his grip on power. So Asim Munir is trapped. On one side is Washington, the money, the power, the protection. On the other side is Pakistan's street, angry and emotional. If Munir agrees to Trump's Gaza plan, he risks setting Pakistan on fire from within. And if he annoys Trump, he risks losing Washington's backing and with it, his control over the state. Between losing power at home and losing support abroad, Munir has run out of good options. This is the price of that White House lunch. Moving on, now let's go to Japan, and what is happening there should make you pause, rewind, and listen carefully. A Japanese online platform called Crowdworks is in the spotlight. Crowdworks is usually a boring website, a freelancer website basically, designers, writers, normal stuff. Recently, it hosted something very political and very ugly. Several job listings appeared on this website asking people to make YouTube videos that would praise Japan and at the same time criticize China. These posts were very clear about the goal: build positive stories about Japan and build negative stories about China. The work involved producing YouTube videos. Many of them were supposed to use AI, cheap, fast, mass production. Some posts went even further. They were about inventing fake stories about China, completely fictional narratives. In these stories, imaginary Chinese characters were shown as immoral, chaotic, and badly behaved. Between November last year and last month, one single recruiter posted at least 14 such job ads. This recruiter hired 31 contributors, and when this news came out, Japanese people started asking the obvious question: who is paying for this? Who is funding this anti-China content factory inside Japan? As these questions grew louder, CrowdWorks quietly removed the posts. The company said the ads violated its policies. Fine, but that did not calm people down. In fact, it made things worse. What bothered people in Japan was not just the content, it was the silence. No answer about the money source, no clarity on the sponsor, and this controversy did not happen in isolation. Around the same time, Japan's media was already looking closely at political publicity spending. On November 28th, we saw interesting reports. Groups linked to Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi had spent more than 80 million yen, that is over $500,000. Where did much of that money go? Online promotion, video production. So if you connect the dots, you can see who is the culprit here. A freelancer platform calling on video makers to produce anti-China content. The funding source is unclear. Political groups are spending huge sums on online propaganda, and Japan's new government is taking a harder and harder line against China. It is very much possible that supporters of Prime Minister Takaichi and even the officials of her party are behind this wave of anti-China hatred. The goal would be simple: make Tokyo's anti-China policies look popular, make hostility look like public opinion. Takaichi herself is openly damaging China-Japan relations, and many believe she is doing this while taking cues from Washington. Her political ambitions come first, regional stability comes last. This is not about free speech, this is not about creativity, this is about paid narratives, manufactured anger, and money quietly shaping what people see on their screens. So whatever you consume on your screen, it could be paid propaganda. Sometimes you see content which is strikingly anti-Putin or maybe in favor of Putin, but always believe your common sense while you're consuming these stories, while you're consuming news from any platform, be it pro-Russia or be it anti-Russia or pro-West. My friends, that is all in this episode. Thank you very much for joining. You're watching GNF.